Hey everybody, it's your host Jason Klamm. Thank you very much for your patience. As you may have seen on Twitter and stuff, there's been some stuff going on, which, you know what, I'm going to talk about at the end of the episode. I don't normally do that, but just to let you know what's been going on and why there's no podcast. But also, I sort of realized that this happened, this one thing did pass by and went unaddressed. The podcast is 7 years old now, as of February something or other, and I just wanted to thank everybody for listening to the show, and I want to thank my guests for coming on because, you know, they're obviously a huge part of this show's success, and thank you guys very much for listening. I appreciate the fact that I've got an audience to listen to what is sometimes rambling, and for the most part I think relatively interesting interviews with people I'm fascinated with, and this episode is actually no exception. 7 years into it, though, I am going to start looking into the possibility of, we'll never charge for this show, but the possibility of doing bonus content kind of thing. May have to go on to Patreon, do something like that. So it'd be really cool to know if people were interested in that. So, you know, let me know on Twitter or whatever. You can email me, jason@comedyonvinyl.com, because if you want to hear more, that'd be great, because, you know, I do 3 podcasts a week. None of them pay me. That was fun. I do 3 podcasts a week. None of them pay me. It's not why I do it, but it would be super cool to be able to do more of them. And if we got paid to do bonus content, then I could do more of this, dedicate more time to this. Other fun projects like a comedy album that I'm working on this year, like an actual comedy album, like a full-fledged, not just a weird Christmas comedy album. So that's a lot of stuff that might be happening in the 7th year of this insane podcast. So without further ado, this is a wonderful episode with Michael Colton and John Aboud, who both wrote A Futile and Stupid Gesture, which I really liked. And I would have asked them on the show if they hadn't asked me via their publicist. Well, their publicist asked me. I'm not going to say they've ever heard of the show. But they were great guests, super fun, and really knowledgeable of the National Lampoon oeuvre. Yeah, you heard me struggle with that. It's not like it's written down. I just wanted to struggle saying it. So there we are. And if you're at all interested, stay tuned toward the end of at the end of the episode after all the music, and I'll just give you a little more breakdown about what's going on. Thank you guys so much for listening, and enjoy this episode. I'm Jason Klamm, and this is the Comedy on Vinyl podcast.
For their sales conferences or conventions, would commission original musicals.
Mm-hmm. Like Broadway style
often musicals. With Broadway writers and actors sort of just do, it's like the way people would do commercials today, sort of. But they would actually press albums and do a performance, and it was sent out, it was given out to their employees and never actually released.
Right.
So I found
that
Xerox album from
I have an IBM one that has sketches in it.
Oh, really?
It's a 2-album set.
That's an industrial musical.
Yeah,
yes.
But there's no music. There's no music, and that's what blew my mind.
Sketches.
Yeah, it's just comedy. It's bad, and I want to do an episode about that, but musical's another level.
Yeah.
That I didn't know existed.
Yeah, so the guy who put the book, the book is called
Everything's Coming Up Profits,
which was the name of one of the musicals, and it's put together by a former Letterman writer who was obsessed with this and discovered it doing Dave's record collection or whatever. It was like
Dave's record collection.
It's like a sketch where you'd find weird albums. Anyway, we thought there was a movie in this and tried to do it, but the rights were already sold. And Mark Platt, who does all these musicals, set it up with Will Ferrell and Kristen Wiig. Although who knows if it's going to get made? But God damn it. Anyway,
if not, we've got to take.
Good. Is it okay? Is that too much IP to drop at the beginning of a podcast?
It's a lot of IP, but I think the listeners can handle it.
Okay, good. The year is 1973. The album Lemmings. The artist National Lampoon. My guest, Michael Colton. And do you want Jonathan or John?
Just John.
John Aboud.
Yes,
thank you so much for being here. So, A Futile and Stupid Gesture.
Yes.
You wrote it.
We did.
We wrote it and executive produced it. It's on Netflix now. Mm-hmm. Came out in January.
Mm-hmm. Streaming now.
Premiered at Sundance Film Festival.
It's delightful.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was this movie we've been trying to get made for like 10 years.
Really?
I would say labor of love, but more like labor of obsession.
More like labor of laughs.
There's that.
Yeah.
We're off to a great start.
The movie, we should say, it's about the origins of the National Lampoon, and specifically tells the story of Doug Kenny, who was one of the founders and then co-wrote Animal House and Caddyshack, and then died mysteriously at age 33.
Yeah.
And it's a story we've sort of always been obsessed with. And about 12 years ago,
approximately 12 years ago,
John texted me and said, what do you think? Because we were trying to figure out what to write next. And he was like, what do you think of the Doug Kenny story as a movie? And me being naturally lazy, I was like, I love that story, but we'd have to do so much research.
Yep.
There's just a couple magazine articles. This is the kind of thing you need a biography for to option.
Right.
And so then I went away for a few minutes and thought, is really no one written a book on Doug Kenny? So I did a little search. I went back to Mike and said, there's a book on Doug Kenny coming out next week.
Oh my God.
It was very good timing.
It seemed like fate.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Although, so when we got the book, read it, devoured it, and reached out to the author, but it still took us like 2 years to get the rights because he had promised it to someone else who never ended up doing anything with it.
Of course.
So this is about
lucky for us.
2008, 2009.
That person's laziness was greater than our own.
Exactly.
He had the book.
So we then optioned the book, or we took it to this producer, Peter Principato, who optioned the book for us. And then began like a 9-year journey of trying to get it made independently or try to get it at HBO. We attached David Wayne to direct very early on, but still it took forever. And finally, 2015, Netflix... we heard that Ted Sarandos at Netflix liked the script a lot, and we immediately are like, let's do it there. And when we started writing this, Netflix hadn't even gotten into the original movie game. So it
was DVDs and envelopes.
Yeah, it took a long time. But once Netflix got involved, then it moved very quickly, and we got Will Forte to star, and the rest
we were shooting shortly thereafter.
Yeah,
that's insane.
After Will was attached.
What's your interest in National Lampoon? Like, where does it begin, though? My apologies for not knowing if you guys are Harvard guys or not, because I don't know.
We are, in fact. That was a good assumption on your part. I think that we were both interested in National Lampoon even before that.
Okay.
Well, I think
primarily because of the movies. I mean,
the
movies Animal House and Caddyshack were, a pretty big deal for me, and I assume for you.
I've never seen them.
Caddyshack more than Animal House for me, actually. And there was a book that came out in about 1991 or 1992 that was an anthology. It was a compilation of the best writing of the National Lampoon. And that was huge for me. That introduced me to the prose writing of Michael O'Donoghue, Doug Kenny, Henry Beard, all the greats, Ann Beats. And, we learned more about the specifics. We learned more about Doug Kenny, the person, because of the Harvard Lampoon. That's where I first learned about his mysterious death, which I knew nothing about before. And I always thought that it was a very dramatic story, that the struggles he had, the internal crises and lack of confidence that he had would make for a compelling biopic. And we wanted to go about it in a very unusual way. We wanted to do a biopic that Doug Kenny himself would have approved of, or that Doug Kenny himself would have conceived of, and not a very traditional biopic like we're used to.
I mean, even before that, I first discovered it. Like a lot of people in high school, I remember first seeing it on the newsstands at Walden Books, and it had pictures of naked women in it, and I could buy it. So that's how, that was my in, like a lot of people. But then, same as John, it was the same book, and we didn't know each other till years later, but that same book from 92, either I got or my parents got for me, it was just text. I believe.
Yeah, there's no
It was just a
pictures.
reprint of all Doug Kenny and Henry Beard and O'Donoghue and all these people, and that's where I, because when I was buying the magazine in the newsstand in the late 80s, it was not the golden era of the National Lampoon.
Right.
So yeah, we both and we, long before we did this movie, we sort of have been inspired by the Lampoon after college. We started a company around 2000 that was an online magazine called Modern Humorist, which was, even the title sort of directly inspired by National Lampoon. And that our goal was to do a National Lampoon for the internet. So we did pieces every day, and we eventually spun off some books and radio pieces, and it was similar. Stage show, trying to do a similar trajectory.
Relevant to today's discussion.
We went out of business after 3 years, so we were somewhat less successful.
Not as successful.
But we've had this history. We actually, so this must have been about 2002. The owner of the National Lampoon back then reached out to us and wanted to buy the website.
Wow.
And we met with him, and we did not like him, and the deal was not a good deal, and we said no. And then
well, the deal was going to be for stock. He said, we can get you stock, and believe me, I think there's a lot of upside there. I think there's a lot of upside in our stock. Okay, well, he's a very confident guy. That's good. Later, it was revealed he had been manipulating the stock in a classic pump and dump scheme, which he went to federal prison for.
He was the first. He was the first of 2 consecutive National Lampoon CEOs to go to prison.
Holy
the 90s
they had quite a
and
run.
2000s were
They
not
had
good
quite
for
a
the
run.
Lampoon.
God.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we've long been kind of obsessed with the golden era of the Lampoon, but you know, we also have seen the depths to which it has descended. You know, look, there's a new owner now, and he's trying to get it started again, and we wish him all the luck, but it's tough. I mean, it's for literally 30, 25 years, it's just been a dead brand.
That's one of the things about the movie where I wouldn't even necessarily say that National Lampoon is my humor. I love the movies, most of them. I love a lot of the albums, but it's not like where my core starts. But in watching the movie, I'm like, why is that magazine not come back? And like, it is interesting that they do keep reviving it. But this is like the history. It's not often you can say, hey, this is the origin of a brand and actually have it be good. You know what I mean? Like,
that does not seem like
it sounds horrible.
A good, like a
because the
point.
first few years weren't just a brand. They like literally the brand came from an established set of whatever the fuck this is. Like this is an insane productive period from. I mean, I think at some point there were compilations like the White Album, but the first few years are ridiculous.
70 to 75, it was crazy, and
on all fronts, on the print front, on the audio front, which included both a radio show and albums. Books. They were pumping out a lot of different books.
I mean, this also in some ways is like, and David Wayne, I remember, said the same thing, like, it owed to, a time when magazines were huge. Like, we're both print guys. We were journalists before we were screenwriters. Okay. And, the idea that you had a magazine
that mattered.
That was like all people were talking about, and that could be so revolutionary was
shape
sort
a conversation.
Fascinating to us.
Yeah, and piss so many people off, which, I mean, that's obviously part of the charm of it, is the idea that there's all that going on behind the scenes. When did you first, both of you, hear this album? I'm curious.
Well, before we heard the album, I remember when we started our company, Modern Humorist, that's when I started to do a deeper dive on the National Lampoon, because seeing how they started, and I read some of these books. I read Tony Hender's book. That was the first time I saw the yearbook parody, which you had an original copy or a reprint of.
Yep.
And that was the first time I saw that. And we looked online, and I think at that time the National Lampoon was selling Lemmings on VHS.
Oh, okay.
This must have been early 2000s. So we bought it, and that was the first. I had heard about Lemmings. I mean, it brought together Belushi, Chevy Chase, Chris Guest, and all these great writers. So we saw the VHS, which had it was really muddy copy,
terrible quality,
and
it had been recorded for HBO, I think.
But I don't think they
never aired it.
Wow.
They never aired it,
Okay.
but they had a deal with HBO very early on, and so they had packaged it into something that could be aired theoretically. They did do a subsequent special for HBO. I don't know that
Disco Beaver from Outer Space.
Disco Beaver from Outer Space. That did air. Okay.
That was Disco in the Beaver. Late. That was like 79 or 80. It was not. It was
Which was sort of late in the National Lampoon original contributor era, but early in the HBO era.
Like
so that
pre, not necessarily new.
Yeah.
Anyway, the Lemmings. I mean, I think we both agree it's not objectively like the funniest album ever. It's not something I put on to laugh.
We're not recommending you run out,
but it's historically fascinating.
As a document, as a historical document, it's pretty amazing.
I mean, first of all, the first half, and I actually can't even remember. Right, I think the vinyl album, doesn't have the first half. It's just the songs from the second half.
Okay.
Because the show was divided into 2 parts. The first half were sketches, very much. You could see the beginnings of Saturday Night Live there.
Yeah.
They were a lot of drug references. I mean, just the idea of Chevy Chase and Belushi on stage pretending to be high on LSD, like that was half of the joke there.
Yeah.
And when you watch that VHS, or it's on YouTube now, you can see it on YouTube. The audience is laughing just at the notion of someone taking drugs,
right?
Because that was the fact that someone could say that out loud, the fact that you could talk about this thing that was in the culture but was so forbidden, from all of that audience's lives when growing up in the 50s and 60s, and now they're young people in their 20s, and people are talking about this stuff openly, they're laughing just at the fact of that.
Yeah.
And then the second half is the songs and the whole Woodstock parody, and some of it is evident what they're parodying. Some of it is way before our time. But what's fascinating in general is, so it's a parody of Woodstock called Lemmings, and the idea is instead of all these people getting together for 3 days of peace, love, and music, it's they're getting together to off themselves. It's a mass suicide, which is a funny idea, but also what's sort of...
And a satirical idea.
Yeah, and what's interesting from a...
I derailed you.
Well, I certainly think it's... nothing. What's interesting that I didn't get on the first kind of listen is how revolutionary that must have been, that they are making fun of hippies. I mean, this is, you would
That's
think,
right.
I think there's a common conception that National Lampoon was the voice of the counterculture.
Right.
But it's not. It was the voice of fuck everybody. It was the voice of this side's wrong and this side's wrong and everybody's stupid and we're going to, that I think was a relatively new idea. I think.
Sure.
You would think that they had only made fun of Nixon, that they had only made fun of the establishment.
Right.
That was not at all the case. They went after their own culture. They went after their own youth movement.
Yeah, this is a satire of the hippies.
Yeah.
There's and you have Chris Guest, who is one of the greatest impressionists. He doesn't really do impressions much anymore, but he does a great James Taylor, and there's a whole John. I don't know if it's on the album or just in the live show, but there's a whole John Lennon thing that was based on a interview John Lennon did for Rolling Stone that was like incredibly controversial. Yeah. And all they did...
Rolling Stone actually published it separately as its own standalone little pamphlet.
So Tony Hendra, I believe, set it to music with actually John Lennon's own words. You listen to now and it's sort of, you don't understand at all what that's about.
Right.
And
but he's quoting directly from Lennon's own quotes. Yeah.
So... just to skip over to the movie for a minute. So we actually, in the movie, you see Lemmings very briefly.
Yes.
So you see, it's in the middle.
Montage.
It's the part of a montage when Doug is breaking down. We also play around with the chronology. Lemmings actually happened before the radio hour. But in the movie, we wanted it to be part of his breakdown, so we took artistic license. So you see brief while he's in the office, you're cutting back and forth. But we shot way more of Lemmings, and
I was going to ask that.
Oh yeah, we spent where was it downtown? It was some theater downtown. I can't remember.
And we restaged the show. We had
I
the
also
backdrop.
remember,
we had the same light. If you look at the video from Lemmings, we have the same lighting set that they had in the background. They rebuilt it. It was eerie.
And we should just say for people who haven't seen the movie, so. In Lemmings, we have John Gemberling of Broad City playing Belushi, Joel McHale of Joel McHale playing Chevy Chase, who was a drummer and plays drums. Seth Green plays Chris Guest. Now, Gilda Radner was actually not in Lemmings. She was in the National Lampoon Radio Hour and also another touring show, the National Lampoon Show. But because we had Jackie Tone playing Gilda Radner, and she was so great, and there were women in the show, we just sort of squeezed her in.
We conflated them. Yeah.
I also remember, do you remember the day we shot was the day Prince died?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
I just remember reading that on my phone.
So how much of that show got shot and therefore should be released as a thing?
Well, I'll tell you what we shot. We shot the Tony Hendra, Matt Lucas playing Tony Hendra doing the John Lennon thing. And we had a little bit with Doug on the side that we cut to during that song. We didn't use any of that. We shot...
Gemberling as doing the Joe Cocker song.
Yeah, well, you see glimpses of that, but we did a whole song. So, well, first of all, this is way inside baseball for fans of the movie, but why not, right? Yeah, of course. So we shot...
They knew what they were getting into when they turned this on.
The original script had the breakdown pegged to John Belushi singing Joe Cocker singing With a Little Help from My Friends, which he performed on Saturday Night Live, not at Lemmings. But we thought that was a great, with the lyrics, contrasting against Doug's breakdown. We were very quickly told by our producer, John Stern, that is a song written by the Beatles.
The Beatles, yeah.
That
cost you $1 billion.
We were not paying for that.
Yeah.
So what we changed to was something that he actually did, an original song that's on the Lemmings album that he sang as Joe Cocker, I believe.
Yes.
Or was that the Crosby? I don't remember. Anyway, it's called Lemmings Lament. I think it's like a Crosby, Stills and Nash riff. Isn't it? Anyway, so we shot him singing that.
Yeah.
And doing all the Joe Cockerisms where he spits out the beer and passes out and all that. And you see that in the movie. We just ended up not using that audio. It didn't quite work. Now we shot Seth Green doing...
Wait, did you say Lemmings Lament? It's Lonely at the Bottom.
Oh,
Lonely at the Bottom.
I'm sorry. I'm confusing two songs.
Yes.
This is why it's going to be a Wikipedia.
That's why we got Wiki
I conflated
on
two
the
songs.
horn.
The Lemmings Lament is a song that we did record.
Yes.
It was a group song, and I think it's like a Crosby, Stills, and Nash riff.
Yes, that is correct.
There's a separate song called Lonely at the Bottom, which was the Joe Cocker parody.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Lonely at the Bottom of the Barrel.
That's right. Which
is a good song.
It's
actually a good song.
And thematically relevant,
Yeah.
but it just it didn't quite work in the edit.
Okay.
We had Seth Green doing James Taylor's parody called Highway Toes, I think.
Highway Toes.
Which is about him as a junkie.
And that is a good song because the impression is so funny.
Yeah.
It said Christopher Guest as James Taylor.
It's too good.
It's great.
It's too good.
Great.
Well,
It's
but
really
we
fun.
had Seth Green as Chris Guest.
Yeah,
I mean, just
which
levels
was
upon levels.
Levels upon levels.
So then the other one we shot is interesting, and it's interesting why we didn't use it. So there's a song.
Here we go.
There's a song. It's not on the album, I don't think, but it was
in the show.
It was a Joni Mitchell parody.
Yes.
No, Joan.
What?
Joan
Joan
Baez.
Baez, is it what I think it is?
Yes.
Yeah, you
So
know
there's
where
a-
we're going
Yes,
with
I
this.
do.
Okay,
Yeah.
there's a song that was in Lemmings called "Pull the Triggers N-Words." Is how I will say it.
Yeah.
And it's by I think it was
I don't know how you guys were raised, but I don't say that word.
Triggers. It's a Joan Baez parody, and it's actually super smart and satirical.
Yes. Yeah.
And I will
Very smart.
try to explain. It's basically making fun of liberals
In San Francisco.
in San Francisco. I mean, there's a whole history related to, I think I forget the guy's name, but someone who was in jail.
Yeah.
Her husband.
Yes. It's making fun of liberals saying, we stand beside you and we fight for your right, but we're actually not going to stand
gonna
beside
help.
We're not going to actually help.
We're not going to do
luck.
anything.
So
Yeah.
the lyrics are something like, pull the triggers, N-words, we're with you all the way, just across the bay.
across the
bay.
I mean, it's actually incredibly
Smart.
funny
it's
and smart.
beautifully
Smart.
sung too.
I mean,
The
even the
original
fact
track
that
is great.
she's using the
Yep.
word N-words is like, offensive, but like we're saying we're on your side.
Yeah.
So we thought that'd be interesting. I think me and John specifically were pushing to have that in the movie as an example of like
The shock value.
the shock
course.
value.
Yeah.
And David Wayne was very concerned, and rightly so. So we actually recorded it in front of an audience.
Oh my.
With
He warned them.
Gilda Radner.
He
Jackie
gave them-
Tone played Gilda Radner.
He gave them a trigger warning.
He did.
on Pull the triggers.
He said, "We're going to try a song here. It has some shocking language, but it's an example of
what they would do. So just prepare yourselves.
And Jackie did a great job as Gilda, but it just in 2018, I don't think there's any way that could have been perceived in the way we wanted it to be perceived,
It
because
doesn't-
it's not like we had the space to play the whole song,
Right.
or to tell the history of this event.
It's only.
Well, I mean, when we did it on the podcast, it took us 15 minutes to get through.
Oh, you've covered that.
We
song.
have that song, yeah, because it was on another album. Also, we had
Which
to cover
album
it.
is it on?
One
of the
one of these other compilations.
Yeah, I mean that's the where is it? Because it's the title in print is "Pull the Tree Grows." And
I know. Yeah.
And, but I know we have discussed.
Oh,
it
it's here.
before.
Oh, yeah.
It's on the
On the
Radio Dinner.
There we
Radio
are.
Dinner.
And
Okay.
But the thing
There we go.
that's the interesting thing is like we've never had anybody who's had the impetus to play it on a thing, but then couldn't find an artistic justification for it because
yeah,
it's not
you can't.
it's not of the time anymore. It makes
It's so not of the
So
time.
it was Joan Baez here, played by Diana Reed, composed by
There we
Tony
are.
Hendra, arranged by Christopher Guest.
It's only. I mean, on an intellectual level, you can get it. On an emotional level, you hate it.
Of
Well,
course,
yeah,
of course,
because you
yeah.
just you hear the word.
And it just, we're I think finally at a point where we're just like, yeah, we just don't need to go there.
Well,
We don't need to
another
say that.
reason
Yeah.
is, as we were editing the movie, we realized we also shot a lot more of the radio hour because we had all these great actors playing
Yeah.
all these other great performers.
Yeah.
And we just realized anytime we weren't staying close to Doug's story and specifically to Doug and Henry's relationship,
Sure.
it just didn't work as a movie.
Yeah.
You know, it's. If I wish we were in Netflix put out DVDs so we could include all the
these extras,
bonus footage,
little
but
bonuses.
it just all the actors are great, and unfortunately, there's not much of like Seth Green or Jackie Tone in the final movie. But it just didn't work when we moved away from Doug.
It was heartbreaking because that stuff is so great. Those performers are so great.
We did a lot of sketches from Radio Hour too.
But when you're pivoting and when you're not focusing on that core central
For
relationship
sure.
of Doug and Henry, it just became meandering.
How's it written? If that's the case, are you just like, we'd like a clip from this here, so then like production works into it and they're like, let's shoot the whole thing and then pick a clip? Or how did that go?
We spent because we were we wrote it, but we were like the keepers of the historical flame. Like, David knows this world a little bit, but he would always turn to us like, say, is this how it happened? Or,
Okay.
Is this accurate?
For the radio hour, we dug deep, and we have the box set of CDs.
Yes.
But also, this doesn't have everything, so we also listened to all the albums and other stuff we found online. There's not that much that translates to 2018 from the radio hour.
Sure.
There are... First of all, a lot of stuff that's racist and sexist. Not even in a satirical way. Just don't work.
It was just they thought that was funny, and now we know that it's not.
There was a lot of stuff that's dated, and then there's a lot of stuff that, in a movie where we're just doing quick cuts,
It's not quotable.
It's not quotable. So
I see.
we put together, with the help of David's assistant, like audio files of 20 things that we thought could use in the movie.
Okay.
And we shared that with David and the producers, and then with the actors, and we identified certain things. But it's tough. Like, there wasn't anything super quotable from Harold Ramis or even Belushi. Like, there's some great Belushi sketches, but you have to sort of listen.
Long.
They're long.
Okay.
And half of them are him doing Marlon Brando in The Godfather.
Yeah.
Which
a lot of that.
Kind of dated.
A lot of that.
There was another sketch. Again, I could see why it would have been hilarious in 1970, whatever, where it's Charles Bronson, Clint Eastwood, and Lee Marvin, I believe.
Yes.
Played by Chevy and Chris Guest and Stephen Collins from Seventh Heaven.
Yeah.
I think. But they're all playing him as lispy, effeminate gay men and so meeting the Hollywood Gay Lions. And it's just stereotypical. I could see how that'd be funny just portraying them in that way.
Sure.
But you wouldn't think to do that today because it's not funny today.
Right.
It's like that's horrible. Why would you do that?
So we ended up with just bits of sketches here and there that we did. And you can hear, we had Seth Green as Chris Guest doing Flash Basbo, which is a classic.
And again,
it's a
Flash
classic
Basbo,
Dadaist nonsense.
utterly surreal and hilarious and awesome. But when you're trying to just do a few seconds of it, you're just like, what is this?
Yeah.
What's happening right now?
Right.
Well, you notice the only thing we really keep in its entirety is, because it's short, is Michael O'Donoghue's classic Ed Sullivan.
It's contained.
It's a minute long and it works and you get the joke.
Yeah.
There was a great thing we put in a little bit in the movie that's not from the radio hour, was on an album, which is Gilda Radner doing a song called I'm a Woman. And that actually...
That holds up. That's more relevant than ever.
That's more relevant than ever. I don't know if you've heard this one, but it's... So she's like it's like a Helen Reddy I Am Woman style anthem. About feminism. I'm a woman. I am human. I am me.
I'm a sister.
I'm a sister.
Lover. I'm
and
a fighter.
She does it for like a minute, and then she's immediately cut off by a group of men who are criticizing how she's singing the song. It is a sketch about mansplaining. Like
it's completely pointed and
It
relevant.
so works today.
The performances are hilarious.
Well, you find out it's for like a tomato commercial.
Yeah, that's the other thing. The other aspect is that it's for an ad.
You have like Bill Murray coming in and like, look, the clients are going to like this.
Not going to be happy.
That's amazing.
And then every time she starts it again, they cut her off sooner. So you hear a little bit in the movie. But that song, I wish we could have shown the whole thing, because it actually that joke still works.
That holds
today.
up. That one holds up.
There's a lot of things that are in the movie that like. I mean, I wasn't going out of my way to pick it apart for the writing, but I'm like, if I had written this, as a writer, I'm like, what the fuck would I have done with this, and this? Like, there's some moments, writers' rooms in movies or shows I usually hate.
Oh, sure.
I don't care, and I've never been in a writer's room. I don't care to be in one. However, when I see
you're healthier for that.
It's so hard to write that well, and then in this you have to write people pitching shit jokes, and I want to know, is that easy to just come up with a shit joke for a character to do, or I'm just curious because
I will say two things.
Hard.
That and the sequence you're talking about, where there's the first editorial meeting. We have a couple actually, but the first one with the gangs together, it's before the first issue comes out, was one of the hardest scenes to edit, because for exactly the reason you're pointing out, so much of what they said was stuff that was funny in the magazine and just it dies in the editorial meeting.
Too,
and we tried many different ways to cut that. And ultimately, I think what we ended up with something that worked, where we kept it relatively short and jumped around and didn't dwell on it. And some stuff doesn't actually play. Like Michael O'Donoghue pitches the Vietnamese Baby Book and people are confused.
And it dies in the room.
Yeah.
But that's one of the iconic pieces of the magazine.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry. No. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say the other thing was that scene ends with Tony Hendra pitching a bad Nixon Pinocchio cover, and everybody turns on him. And a lot of people, I think, saw the movie, he's like, wow, you really went hard on Tony Hendra, I think partly for that scene. That is actually directly out of a piece Tony Hendra wrote for Harper's.
And his book.
Oh my God.
And his,
earlier, yeah.
you know, that is, he talked about how cutthroat the editorial meetings were and how they would rip him to shreds. And we love that bit, so we kept...
You want to capture that culture. I mean, that's a big part of this movie, is sort of what was it like to be in this environment. And yeah, it was brutal.
And ironically, they actually did that cover years later. They did a double
Nixon
fold out with Nixon's nose. And the guy who did that just died last week. The artist, Robert
really?
Grossman. Yeah.
You know, the hard part of that is also, if you're writing something, depending on your audience, which I actually would imagine might skew young-ish based on the cast. I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Like, I don't know who is watching it, but I feel like there's this feeling where if you're watching it and something doesn't land, you're like, am I not getting this, or is this old-timey? Like, I think if you're just a little too young, you're like, maybe that was funny in the 70s, or maybe they just pitched a shit joke, or you know, like that's hard to play, but it all plays to me. But like I also had a couple moments where I'm like, am I gonna have to concentrate really hard here and like try and put myself in a 70s mindset?
Well, we wanted this to be accessible to people who knew absolutely nothing about National Lampoon. Had maybe some awareness that there was a Christmas movie with Chevy Chase, and that was it. And so a lot of discussions were had around how to handle exactly what you're talking about, because we wanted to make sure that people who had absolutely no basis would understand what was going on. Like, was that supposed to be funny?
Right.
No, they're making fun of him. Like, you know, what's important here is the energy that they're having. So the specific jokes in that kind of a format where we're just sort of cutting around the horn became much less important than just the feeling of the environment, the feeling of the meeting.
Well, yeah, I mean, and also a lot of the stuff that even Doug wrote just does not hold up or translate. Like, some of the pieces he was most famous for, we tried to find ways to quote him or use him, and just always died. Like, Che Guevara's Bolivian Diaries. Like, you need to be pretty well versed in the Che Guevara history and what was going on at that time for those to be funny.
Right.
Mrs. Agnew's Diary was a regular feature. It was like a diary written by Spiro Agnew's wife. Spiro Agnew was Nixon's vice president.
Yeah.
You know, and that stuff just does not hold up. We do briefly mention Nancy Reagan's Do's and Don'ts, just because that's a funny title.
Sure.
But at the time, she wasn't First Lady. I mean, she's
First Lady,
First Lady of California.
I'm the guy for whom the Agnew thing would have landed, and that's it. That's it. I guarantee you that.
It was such a challenge to find pieces that held up and pieces that then were quotable. Where you could lift something and you could put it in the movie, you could put it in a character's mouth, and you would understand, okay, that was a funny gag. That was these guys are talented. Yeah. That's hard. That's hard to do, because the pieces that work, you know, really well, they work because they're pros, and
with the art,
and with the art direction, which was amazing. So many ideas were brought to life by Michael Gross, not Robert Gross, by Michael Gross, the art director, or Gross man. He's not a gross man. We're firing on all cylinders here. You know, they don't translate to a movie. Yeah. So Henry Beard had a great piece called "My Gun Is Cute." It was a sort of noir detective parody, but trying to find lines that make you laugh because
we wanted to use some of it as a VO, and it just didn't work.
It just doesn't work.
But you know, it's what I was glad worked. There were a lot of times we tried to use characters, stuff they'd written, and put into their mouths as dialogue, which doesn't always work. But one of the biggest laughs in the movie is during the Tom Snyder scene, the interview, where Doug goes on TV. And
the Tomorrow Show
with Tom Snyder, and there's a whole riff he does about if I could speak in defense of National Lampoon, there was once another guy who was persecuted, and you think he's talking about Jesus, and it's this long riff, and then he says, of course I'm talking about Dracula. Was actually something he wrote in the magazine, I believe, in an editorial.
It was an editorial.
And we just lifted that, and we'll take credit for it.
Yeah.
But,
if people think we wrote it, great.
But we tried to do that a lot, to just give, you know, people their actual line. I mean, half of what Michael O'Donoghue says was actual stuff he said, you know.
Very quotable.
He's so quotable. Yeah. You know, all the stuff he says about SNL, TV, it's the napalm of culture, burns you down to nothing but the glow's awful pretty. I don't want to write for, you know, he won't write for Muppets, I don't write for Felt. Like, I have a list on my phone probably of all the stuff we tried to put in that just, there wasn't enough room.
The O'Donoghue quotes? Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. There's this, I don't know what my perspective on it is, but like, I feel like if I had done the research, I would be like, God damn it, I now have to write a movie about a bunch of assholes. Like, I think they're brilliant, they're brilliant, but they're a bunch of assholes.
by their own admission.
Yeah.
Tom Lennon on the set, because he got really into O'Donoghue, and he read the biography. There's another biography of Michael O'Donoghue called Mr. Mike. And so, like, there'd be days in the set where he'd, shooting something, and he'd look around and point to the characters, people playing Chevy Chase and Gilda, or whatever. Like, okay, at this point, it's 1973. My character hated you. He hated you. Oh my, he fucking hated you.
Yeah.
They were vicious. I mean,
they were a rough crew.
Although Doug was the one everybody said was the sweetest, and everybody seemed to love Doug.
Had there not been someone like Doug at the center, I don't know that this would have worked.
Well, which is why it was so rough when he would disappear and he would have his breakdowns.
Henry was the adult in the room. He got the magazine put out on time. But I don't know that other than a few people like Christopher Cerf, early contributors, Michael Frith, that sort of had a personal connection to him from college or whatnot, he wasn't the sort of warm, welcoming ringleader that they were all going to sort of rally around.
Yeah.
That was Doug. I mean, he provided that. He provided a sense of camaraderie and shared purpose, and somehow managed to stay friends. I think Ann Beats didn't like him that much at the end. But everyone else sort of thought of him as their friend, and he became the hub around which all the spokes revolved.
How did the framing of the movie come about with the VO from
having
Doug
Martin
Kenny?
Mull?
Well,
that was very early.
For a lot of the reasons that you're talking about, of whether or not things are supposed to be funny, or whether or not they hold up, we were very conscious that this is going to be viewed in 2018. We want a 2018 audience to have some context for this stuff. So how do we comment on what's happening with the voice of today? So the idea for Modern Doug was to be able to have someone who would point out, you know what, we were even more sexist and racist than this seems like. Or, this may not sort of, strike, but trust me when I say, like, this was great at the time. So he was simultaneously able to bring today's perspective to it, but also tied in thematically to what Doug was known for. He became, one of his nicknames was the man who invented nostalgia. But he died before he could ever be nostalgic about 1970. So this was kind of a wish fulfillment. Like, how would Doug look back on this period? The same way he looked back on high school, the same way he looked back on college and Animal House. Give him that opportunity.
Yeah.
Plus, early on, before we had even written the script, we were talking with David Wayne about what kind of movie this is, and we talked about stuff like American Splendor, 24-Hour Party People, these biopics that sort of play with the form. And we all, talked about a moment in 24-Hour Party People where Steve Coogan turns to the camera and, says, that's Martin, he will later try to kill me. Just breaking that fourth wall and talking about characters within the scene. And so that was a big inspiration for having Modern Doug. And I think initial versions of the script, I think he was even more present. We ended up pulling it back a little bit.
I kind of wish I'd seen your movie first. Only because I feel like that as a reveal is probably... I think it's probably pretty emotional. And that's why I haven't brought it up to anybody. Like, have you seen... Which one have you seen first? And I'm like...
You mean the documentary?
Yeah, I wish I'd seen your film before the documentary because, I feel like that's an emotional hit that while it comes in the documentary is very sad and actually is the only thing that's ever humanized Chevy Chase for me in that documentary. It's heartbreaking.
Isn't Chevy sympathetic in that moment?
Jesus Christ. And I'm like, oh fuck, I don't hate you anymore. I never hated the man, but that
comes as a real blow.
It does.
Because he gets choked up. It's the most genuine you've seen him ever.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
I mean, I think I personally was surprised by how many people watched it and didn't know anything. And, casting Martin Mull, there was a period where we were talking, do we cast a complete unknown, like a Broadway actor,
right,
and have people really believe this was the real Doug? And we got Martin Mull, who was great, but, Martin Mull is not super famous.
Sure.
He's recognizable, but so I was surprised that there were a lot of people who either just, from reading people on Twitter or whatever, reacting, who believed that was the actual Doug Kenny, or did recognize Martin Mull and said, oh, I've seen that guy before. I didn't realize he was the guy who created National Lampoon. So it's like, they didn't know his name, but they knew he was in Clue or whatever, and they just said he was the guy.
The principal from Sabrina.
I mean, people, we we wrote this animated movie, Penguins of Madagascar, and our director on that is a British guy who didn't know anything about the story.
Loved Animal House.
But he was like live texting us when he was watching the movie, and when it got to the end, he was like,
"Wait, what?
What? How's that? Wait, how is that possible? No, he can't be dead. What?"
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So I mean, I honestly,
Gotcha.
we didn't. I think people assumed that was the intention, but we were not really trying to like get people. We didn't think everybody was comedy nerds and knew exactly the story, but we thought
wanted it to work either way. If you know going in that he's dead, then you're on board from the beginning. If you don't know, then that emotional punch comes at the end and hopefully is very impactful.
That's what I want to know. I'm going to have to ask my friends who haven't seen it because I'm not telling anybody, but I'm like, which one have you seen first? And I'm curious which way they go about it.
We should have said spoiler at the top of this podcast.
Sorry, guys.
Sorry, guys. Doug Kenny's dead for 40 years.
Well, I guess that actually, the reason I was surprised people, I guess with me, I start watching movies based on true life. I'm already on the Wikipedia page before it's over.
Yeah.
You know,
You're double screening?
I guess most people are
second
not
screening it.
You guys watch TV without a phone in your hand? What are you, monsters?
I do.
So I guess I assume people like me would know more about stuff, but most people watch it as they should watch it.
Yeah.
Cold read.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting too is I've had English people, comedians, but like people in entertainment on the podcast too, or people just from other countries in general, and you can bring up a name and just and you forget, this is not universal.
Well,
this is not. We think to us it is. This is culture.
Well, Donald Gleason, is Irish.
Who plays Henry Beard.
Plays Henry Beard in the film, and doing the press tour and whatnot, and at Sundance, he was saying like, "Oh yeah, knew nothing." Of course, he had heard of it.
He had seen Animal House, but he didn't know anything.
Didn't have an impact in Ireland. Yeah.
I think most people today don't even know National Lampoon was a magazine.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the big surprise.
Yeah. And Donald's somebody who loves comedy. Knows
but
quite
it just
a bit
that
about
was
comedy,
never.
Did not have the same.
I mean, they have a
impact,
rich history of
They have
Prince,
all their own,
of course.
Private Eye and Punch and all that. But,
Viz.
Now you're going deep.
Sorry.
But yeah, it's sort of this untold chapter of comedy history that our producers, David Wayne and Peter Principato, all these people who are self-professed comedy nerds, they said, Doug Kenny, I recognize his name from the credits, but no one knew this story.
The story was largely untold. Josh's book really kind of was the first to, in a major way,
right? But even that I don't think it really got past an audience of comedy nerds.
Correct. No, correct. No,
I mean, it took a while to get to me, and I think I know shit.
Right. And you don't know shit.
I don't know a goddamn thing. I mean, 7 years of a lie is all this has been.
Of a lie?
Yeah. Do you... Okay, now, I said Lemmings because, I'm a hard ass about it, but, we can talk about any... Is there an album that stands out to the two of you as a particular favorite? Because we don't just have to talk about Lemmings.
I mean, the song parodies on Lemmings are great. Yeah. Radio Dinner, that came before...
This was the first album
that came before
the and before the radio era.
Yeah,
this was their first audio. So that's, and in some ways, on a historical level, is the most important.
Yeah, and in some ways, led directly to Lemmings, didn't it? Because
this has the Magical Misery Tour. That's the John Lennon thing.
Correct.
So that is on Radio Dinner.
Yeah,
but was also performed at Lemmings. Okay. But I don't know if it's on the Lemmings album.
Let's check. I can't recall. I should know, but guess what? I don't know that.
But yeah, Deteriorata, again, interesting on a historical level, but doesn't really play today. But Deteriorata was a parody of a famous poem.
Know that, yeah.
There was a poem that was a best-selling recording and poster.
It was a poster. People put it on their dorm room.
Desiderata?
Yes, they put it on their dorm room walls. So this was a big deal at the time, but nowadays you're like, the reference has been completely lost.
Absolutely. Right. Yeah, it's hard to listen to this without... having Wikipedia open.
I think on Lemmings they have Papa was a running dog lackey of the bourgeoisie,
right?
Which is a a Four Tops.
Was it Four Tops or Temptations? Papa was a Rolling Stone.
A Motown parody of, Papa. But they're just reading the Communist Manifesto. These literally, Paul Jacobs is singing the Communist Manifesto.
That's brilliant. It's really good.
I'll be honest. I haven't. Because a lot of these I encountered through when we were researching the movie, it was sort of as an undifferentiated mass on iTunes. You know what I mean? So I don't know what stuff's on which album.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Well, Gold Turkey was pretty late
Well, this is Greatest Hits of the
That's
Radio
the
Hour.
Radio Hour.
Which
so
we,
you've heard that in other...
We've heard that on the box set.
Venues, yes.
Yeah. I mean...
That's a great photo. On the back of Gold Turkey, they have everybody. This. They've got
There's
Harold Ramis, Doug Kenny,
Richard Belzer,
Brian McConaughey,
Bill Murray.
Both Murrays. You got both Murrays on there.
That is great.
There's Christopher Guest.
Bruce McCall. Belushi. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this Gold Turkey. A lot of these we've heard from the Radio Hour. Yeah.
Flash Basbo's on there.
Terminal Football, which we use a tiny... When we introduce Belushi and Ramis in the movie, we use a bit of
sketch.
Terminal Football.
That's the sketch that they're doing.
Flash Basbo. Yeah, I mean, a lot of this, The Immigrants is endless. It's just... What is the joke of The Immigrants? It's like a parody of, like, newsreels. Is it the joke of... I don't even know. As you can tell, a lot of this
it runs together. This is the problem with doing this podcast, too.
Canada humor.
Oh, it's so much Canada humor.
Canada humor. Because many of the key contributors were Canadian.
Right.
And I guess they thought that was funny. I mean, there's just so much Canada stuff.
Well, speaking of Radio Hour, so when we went to Sundance to premiere this, 2 nights before the premiere, someone, I think at Netflix, had the idea to do a live reading of Radio Hour sketches.
Oh my!
Because of the actors we had there, because we had Tom Lennon, Matt Walsh,
Joel McHale,
Emmy Rossum, and John Daly, maybe one, and Martin Mull was there.
Yeah.
So it was up to us to again collate what we were going to do.
Oh my God! Okay.
And we were, again, like we didn't know what was going to play in front of an audience. We did that afternoon did a reading with the actors, and some of them just died.
Like, nope.
I bet, yeah.
Cut that one.
Cut that one. I would have loved to do I'm a Woman with Emmy Rossum, but she didn't receive it till like 2 hours before. She couldn't sing the whole thing.
Sure, yeah.
Because she's a singer as well. But it was interesting.
That would have played.
It went really... I mean, only one sketch died. So we did a bunch. John and I introduced it and gave a little bit of historical context about how...
I was going to ask, it feels like it needs an intro.
Yeah, you need to say...
Oh, yeah.
Like we've been talking about on this podcast, this is a different era. But anyway, we did... What were the ones that were... Oh, we had... Joel McHale did a very long monologue that Brian Doyle Murray did. What's it called? It was just a guy walks into a nightclub.
Stand-up comedian.
It's like a long stand-up comedian thing. I don't know which album it's on.
And it's the wordplay.
It's just dense wordplay, and it goes on and on and on.
Layers.
That was a big hit.
Man walks into a nightclub with a beautiful girl on his arm, and then by the end, and then that evolves because he keeps having to sort of restart and reboot sort of the bit over and over again until by the end it's. Man walks in with a beautiful arm on his girl because he's been amputated. And sort of, like, it just keeps evolving and evolving.
We did a running thing from the Radio Hour of like the comedy of Andrew Weitzman, cardiologist, the comedy of Fred O'Malley, patrol officer. So it was basically sticky, hacky stand-up, but from a particular perspective. So Donald Gleason came... Oh, Donald was there. That's right.
Yeah.
Donald Gleason came out and did an Irish cop, and he was doing stand-up. And in between each joke, he's 10-4. He just...
and he counts to himself because he's super nervous. Like the bit is that the cop is nervous doing jokes.
Amazing.
So I'm going to have to frisk you. 3, 4, 5, 10-4.
He was great.
So good.
The only thing that bombed was I thought it would work. It was a Mr. Rogers parody, and originally there's so much on the Radio Hour that is just Chris Guest and Bill Murray improvising.
Just talking. They're just talking.
That one's upsetting.
Two of the best improvisers who've ever lived.
Yeah.
And so there's a bit where Mr. Rogers interviewing a bass player. Have you heard that?
Oh, this is a different one. Okay, this is not the one I thought it was. The one where Mr. Rogers is basically a pedophile. If I'm not mistaken. Okay, good.
I feel like that's sort of a subtext in a lot of the.
They're really
This is Mr. Rogers interviewing a bass player, and just the joke is Mr. Rogers is being his usual inquisitive self, and the bass player is just like hi and
just woke up,
and it's I think it's Bill Murray maybe trying to do a black accent. I'm not sure.
Unclear.
Anyway, we had Tom Lennon and John Daly doing it, but reading on paper something that was improvised is just hard.
And it quickly got to the point where then they're making fun of the bit, and they're going on, and Tom Lennon...
Tom's like, we got 6 more pages of this.
Yeah, and as Mr. Rogers like, I think we can skip ahead here.
Yeah.
It was great.
And then we ended with Martin Mull playing his original song, which plays over the credits of the movie, which was great.
That's so good.
But overall, other than Mr. Rogers, it seemed to go well.
Did you have in mind anybody to play into these parts as you're writing it, or was it just strictly a writing exercise?
Well, it's weird because when we're writing it, we weren't necessarily thinking, let's play this in Joel McHale's voice. We're thinking, let's play it in Chevy Chase's voice.
Yeah.
We always, whenever we write anything, we write it with a certain actor in mind.
Of course, yeah.
But when you're playing with real people...
and the challenge was Doug. Because there's no video of Doug.
Well, there is, but
hardly
very
any. Hardly any.
That's so weird.
And so what ultimately we landed on that sort of opened the doors on it was, okay, he's Val Kilmer in Real Genius.
That's true. That was the model.
That was the model.
Just sort of
Val Kilmer
constant
in Real
one-liners,
Genius.
very breezy and deadpan, and
doesn't respect authority. Always has.
And so
a quip.
we said we have to get Val Kilmer, but the next best thing is his MacGruber co-star. Will Forte.
All right.
That's how it all came together.
But who else? I would say. So John Daly auditioned for Bill Murray, and we've been friends with Daly for a while. But his audition tape was so good and so dead on that we actually wrote more Bill Murray scenes in the movie. There's a long... Bill Murray's biggest scene in the movie is a dream sequence thing on Caddyshack.
Where he's kind of taunting Doug.
Which did not exist before John auditioned.
Really?
We were like, we need to give him more.
I love it.
Yeah.
He was so good.
There was always a dream sequence.
But it didn't have him.
But it was not Bill Murray centric. It was like, John crushed this. Like, we need more Bill Murray.
And there were other people like... As soon as we saw Jackie Tone audition as Gilda Radner, it was like, oh, she's Gilda Radner.
For sure.
Gemberling, he's Belushi. Joel McHale was weird because, obviously, Community. When we first heard he was interested, we were both like, is this a joke?
Right.
Is this like a prank?
Of course, yeah.
But he brought so much to that wasn't on the page in terms of just, we call them Chevyisms. Just the constant verbal diarrhea, just sort of like
mannerisms.
Excuse you.
Things that Chevy would do.
There can be two boys wonder. What do boys wonder? Just like constant words leading to next words. And of course, we had pratfalls in the script, but he had studied Chevy.
So good.
He added so much to it.
And it was the kind of thing where he treated it like any other dramatic role. He used his background knowledge to inform this, but he played it like any other character.
Yeah, that was
took it completely seriously.
I don't often watch things and like it when I get excited that somebody's playing somebody, but that was a particular moment. I did not expect John Daly to be in a thing like this, and that was very exciting to me too because I'm a huge fan of his. Also, didn't know he could do a Bill Murray. That was
I don't think he did before this.
For real?
Like it wasn't like he had.
It was not part of his repertoire.
It wasn't part of his repertoire like
me.
Kelsey Grammer. I don't know if you've heard of Kelsey Grammer.
Which is
That's
hilarious.
so weird to me.
So he studied it. I mean, he watched the old movies and like. He put the work in, and everyone did.
Everyone did.
The guy who played Lorne Michaels, this guy Armin Weitzman.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
he was great, and
he was very specific.
We got him a it's on YouTube. It's Tom Snyder again, The Tomorrow Show, interviewed the cast of SNL, and Lorne Michaels, like I think right before it launched, maybe, or right after it launched.
Yeah.
So this is 75, and Lorne Michaels in 75 is not Lorne Michaels 2018.
Sure.
It's not the caricature of he's become more Dr. Evil over time.
Everyone's seen Mark McKinney's impression. Everyone's seen Dr. Evil, so they have a sense of like, oh, that's what Lorne talks like. 1975 Lorne did not talk like that, and Armin did the
hint
homework.
Of it, and...
He did the homework, and so like he did Lorne the way Lorne spoke in 1975.
Yeah, he nailed it because I was just thinking, oh wait, yeah, because in the Ruddles, like Lorne Michaels is like he's acting and he's like properly doing some shit, and like he was kind of a funny dude back then.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
I'd argue that he's still kind of a funny dude, or at least has a great eye for talent.
I don't know the man personally. I just, you know what is funny is I have no, never mind. I can't say that. It's not my story. It's somebody else's. Somebody who I interviewed as a possibility to come on the show who just shit talked him the whole time I interviewed him. Before. I'm like, you have an axe to grind, and I appreciate it. It's kind of funny. I had a question and I completely lost it. But do you have a favorite song then? I mean, let's if we dig
I think
into...
I honestly we talked about it, but is it called I Am Woman? It's the one, the Gilda Radner, and it's basically mansplaining.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that holds up.
So good.
Do you have the White Album here? I think it's on the White Album.
It is.
Yeah, he's got it. It's right there.
National White Album.
Please hold, listeners, while we look it up. Perrier Junkie's on there. That's not a song.
Perrier Junkie, which
a great sketch.
that was ultimately in Disco Beaver from Outer Space.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
It's Alice Playton, and it's just
so
a
good
monologue where she's, talking about her addiction to Perrier. Fart Man. Isn't that the inspiration for Howard Stern's thing?
Yeah.
There's Gay Alliance. Yep, Steve Collins. No, it's
not on there.
It's not on there.
Huh.
I don't know which album it's on, but
It's one I'll have to.
Oh
look
wait,
up.
what about? Are you? That's Not Funny. That's Sick. Isn't that a name?
I have it, but I do not have.
I think
it
that's
with me.
what
it
it's
might be
on.
on there. Okay.
Yeah.
But I would recommend that one. And then again, like a lot of them just for historical value of the James Taylor parody.
The parodies on Lemmings are really listenable. They're even if they're not funny, they're just well done.
Yes.
I mean, they was it Paul
Jacobs
and Chris Guest, who handled the music. Like, they were amazing.
Yeah.
They're
Here we go.
incredibly talented.
I'm looking at the box set. The comedy of Patrol Officer Tim O'Malley. The comedy of cardiologist Dr. Andrew Tillman. And what was the other one? The comedy of news anchor Robert K. Chancellor. It was just, shticky stand-up.
What's the thing that really sort of sticks with you, though, in terms of this style? Because we've talked plenty about how some of it has aged poorly, how some of it is dated. Plenty of it still remains, but what is there something at the heart of it that means something to you that makes you still love National Lampoon?
Well,
after all
again,
that?
the way they took on everybody was sort of inspiring. That they
couldn't do that today.
They were not just because it
would be confusing. People would be confused. Like, well, wait a minute,
but
where do
you know
stand?
What? People they still try to do it, but everything's become so partisan. Like SNL will still occasionally. I remember last season they did like a whole fake commercial making fun of Democrats. Mm-hmm. Because they try to hit all things, but we are living in. I'm my own personal politics, but it's why would it doesn't seem like a worthy target these days.
Yeah,
but felt like you're striving to hit both sides.
This is not a moment where both sides are equally deserving of being taken down.
Well, we're missing a whole lot too in terms of sides used to be left and right, sides used to be Democrat, Republican. Now it's literally like people who are just trying to survive and people who want those people out of the country.
I call it it's now good versus evil.
I think it's
kind of is. That made me talk like Kermit. We're
all reverting to our Sesame Street values.
But also, I think the other thing that, as always, the ability of National Lampoon to be both high and low. Mm-hmm. Now, because of the movies in the 80s and 90s, I think now people associate it with low and just, naked women and fart jokes and whatever. But
that's what it kind of devolved into.
If you go back and look at the initial magazine, like we talked about, there are naked people in the magazine, but they would also have, parodies of poets and, Wordsworth and James Joyce and really smart stuff. And then you'd have a whole... What was our favorite piece? The Oral Passions of William Howard Taft, which was just about William Howard Taft's love of cunnilingus.
Yeah. Which, again, is... Why would you do that? Yeah. But it's so enjoyable. It's so entertaining. Yeah. And, the artists that they would get for parodies like that took it completely seriously. I mean, that's to answer your question, my takeaway is whether it was a song, whether it was a print piece, whether it was a purely design, art piece, when they set out to parody something, they were rigorous. Yeah. They made it sound and look and read like the real thing. Yeah. And that's what separates it from Mad Magazine. Yeah. Mad Magazine looks funny. Yeah. National Lampoon tried to become the target. Right. And really attack it from the inside. That is a hard skill, and when you do it right, it's amazing.
I mean, that's why we put that scene in the movie. Yeah. And it was actually not Doug's... it was Henry who really spearheaded that. Doug was partial to the original look of kind of hippie, drug culture.
Because he wanted to be cool.
Yeah.
But Henry Beard didn't care about being cool.
And Henry rightly...
wanted to be funny.
And Maddie, too, to his credit, rightly said, no, it should look real, and that's where the humor comes in. Yeah. I don't know if you noticed, but the original art directors of the movie who get fired are played by us.
I should have recognized.
No.
No, it's good. That's great.
We're wearing wigs and hair extensions. And
fucking great.
Yeah.
Oh, little Easter egg.
Little Easter
egg.
That's a nice Easter egg. That's freaking great. Yeah, well, that was one of the moments, too, where I watched it. I'm like, I guess I didn't... Again, there's so much of the story I don't know, but I really like how that played out as well, because it's a thing where it's like, this is a scene about art design. This is a scene about fucking composition and fucking branding, and somehow is still good, Well,
because ultimately it was a character scene. Mm-hmm. This was about these guys who were best friends.
And Doug realizing he needs Henry.
Yeah. And being, Doug realizing, I'm wrong on this one. Yeah. I'm wrong. And we didn't want to have a movie where they didn't argue, where you didn't see that dynamic. Like, you had to have something where they have a real disagreement, and how's that handled?
From personal experience, a creative partnership, you argue 8 times a day. Sure. So we needed to include that.
When have we ever argued?
I don't know. Yeah. We'll get to it.
I also like that I didn't realize it was Donald Gleason. The whole time. It took me a bit. And I'm like, wait a minute.
You know, our agent came to Sundance, saw the whole movie, and afterwards said, well, "Who did Donald Gleason play?" Like, you're not alone. Yeah. No, he was great, and we had so many great actors, but most of them were comedic. No, you know, and everybody was like, Donald's the real actor on the set. But I think he actually brought everybody up
for sure
to that level.
That's so good.
You don't fuck around in front of Donald Gleason.
With a Gleason.
When you got a Gleason on set, you got to bring your A game.
So it seems.
That's right.
If you do not have to, but if there's a reason to recommend Lemmings to people who've never heard it, don't know anything about National Lampoon, maybe haven't seen your movie yet, what's a solid reason to recommend listening to this album? Again, you don't have to. You can make another.
I mean, if you are interested in this era of comedy or the performers from that era of comedy who have, who are still active today and have had such a big impact, this is where they got their start. This is the beginning of all of that.
Yeah.
And if you just really like Joni Mitchell parodies,
go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys very much for doing this.
Thank you.
Sure, this was fun.
Other than A Futile and Stupid Gesture, well, go ahead and promote that. But if there's anything else you want to promote, or where people can find you on Twitter, all that good shit.
Futile and Stupid is on Netflix. We'll be there forever. You can
until
also,
the servers turn to dust.
Go watch Penguins of Madagascar. I don't know if that's still on Netflix. It was, and then it's who knows.
Hard to say.
And we're nothing else really to promote. We're developing some stuff now. But on Twitter, I am Mike Colton, MikeColton,
and I am at Jaboud, Jaboud.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much for doing this again. Thank you guys for listening. You can go to StolenDress.com. That's where all my 3 weekly podcasts are supposed to be when I'm doing them. And go to bit.ly/comedy albums. That's Celery Sound Records. That's my small sketch comedy record label. Check that out. There's nothing new there yet, but check it out anyway. That's about it. Thank you guys for listening. And as always, have a good thing. Comedy on Vinyl is a production of StolenDress Entertainment. It is produced by Mike Warden and is hosted and edited by Jason Klamm. Our theme song was composed and performed by Richard Levinson. Please visit StolenDress.com to listen to our other podcasts, read our blogs, read our tweets, watch our videos, and read our books. Please subscribe on iTunes, and if you like us, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. You can find us on Facebook.com/ComedyOnVinyl, Twitter @ComedyOnVinyl, and find everything else at ComedyOnVinyl.com. A major portion of Comedy on Vinyl has been underwritten by Stand Up Records. Please visit StandUpRecords.com for all your comedy needs and tune into the new Stand Up channel available on the Roku, where you can also find select episodes of this podcast. So, if you have stuck around, thanks. It's weird to get personal. I rarely do that on this show. I mean, that's a lie. I get self-centered, but I don't get that personal ever on the show. This is something I've talked about on Dan and Jay's Comedy Hour because it's something my best friend and I are going through together, and this is the only podcast I'm releasing within the last month. Haven't released any because of what's been going on. And I don't know when the other 2 podcasts, when I'll have the energy to get around. I actually only released this one because, there's a bit of a deadline. I wanted to make sure I did right by the gentleman there and their PR company and Netflix and all that stuff. Make sure it got out there. And definitely, honestly, do go see A Futile and Stupid Gesture. It's great. Go to your Netflix and see it. It's really delightful. It's a lot of fun. And actually, frankly, they talk about a bunch of bonus stuff that no one's going to get to see. And I kind of hope Netflix finds a way to make that available to people because I know they've done that kind of thing before. The little incidentals like here's a little behind the scenes or something. I mean, they released a whole extra documentary for the Wet Hot American Summer. It sounds like there's enough for an entire feature's worth of extra stuff for this. But anywho, the personal thing that I guess I was accidentally beating around the bush of? That's not a thing. So my best friend Dan and I, we've been doing comedy together forever, but we're also best friends. But there was a third in the group, a fourth really, if you count my sister, who I so often would accidentally shove out. I was kind of a rude little kid. My sister was definitely involved. But the 3 of us who were of a similar age and hung out a lot were Dan, myself, and a guy named Mike Shaver. And Mike is a huge influence on both of us, an amazing friend, super weird. I could not explain to you his sense of humor, but it has influenced both Dan and my surreal tendencies. Not that we're always surreal, but definitely whenever we are surreal, it's flavored by the stuff Mike would say to us. Mike is a super incredibly cool guy, and we lost touch. Both Dan and I lost touch with Mike. He just seemed like the kind of guy who dropped off the grid. And we found out recently that everybody thought he dropped off the grid, but he's been missing for 2.5 years. We didn't know that. And I was dealing with that while I was editing podcasts, and like dealing with that is one thing, but like when somebody's missing and I'm still treating him as missing, everybody's treating him as missing because hope is a thing that is good to have. But there are seemingly, you can read about them, but there are other possibilities, beyond just missing. And nobody wants to think that those things have happened because we love Mike, and Mike is great. Mike was, again, an influence on us. We were an influence on him. Mike is the reason I became a film director. Mike so heavily influenced us as a group. Like, I want to be in front of the camera because I'm me. And eventually Mike would be obsessed with the behind the scenes stuff because we would watch a show called Movie Magic together. All three of us would watch a show called Movie Magic where they're just showing how they did special effects like Independence Day. Whoa, this is so crazy. In Crazily. It was in Crazily. And a really great show. And Mike was like, at some point, it's like, yeah, I'm going to be a film director. And I was like, yeah, me too. And eventually I ended up going to film school. He did not. He ended up being a pilot and a mechanic and an electrician, a number of different things. But he's the reason I became a film director. Dan's the reason I'm into comedy as much as I am. I was always interested in comedy, but like I dug deeper because of Dan. Like these two guys influenced my sense of humor and who I am hugely. And regardless of how this all turns out, Dan and I both love Mike. Mike's family loves Mike. And it's still hard that he's missing. And it's very sad. And at some point was super, super, super crippling. And still is a little bit. I'm only laughing to laugh through it and get around it and get over it as much as I can. It's fucking heartbreaking, I'm going to continue to remain hopeful that he's out there and just weirdly ran away. But yeah, Mike is awesome. Super cool guy. And the bonus here is like, it's nice that I have family and friends who are supportive, and I've got people who listen to all my podcasts who are incredibly cool to me too, even though they don't know what's going on. People have been very sweet about it, and thank you to those people. But yeah, and I'm sorry I don't normally get personal on the show. I wasn't sure if I should talk about it. It's weird. Like at some point, somebody contacted me through the sketch group, through Dan and Jay's Comedy Hour, to say, oh, we've got 35 million listeners. You want to talk about your missing friend? And it's like, okay, I get where you're coming from, but this is fucking weird, and that's not how you want to become famous. It's really not. It's not a fun thing. And things like that just throw you. And especially if you know more of the details about surrounding the whole case. You can find all that stuff online if you really want to dig into it. It's weird, and it's also inappropriate to ask those kinds of questions. But I feel like I'm rambling. Anyway, it's hard to get back into making podcasts, and I know the thing about making podcasts is do them every week. Well, if you listen to any of my shows and you know me, you know that doing them weekly with any regularity, without huge breaks for holidays and things like that or major life events, it's just not going to happen. If a life event gets in the way, I don't care. It's just going to happen. But anyway, I appreciate people who have stuck with the show. At the very least, looking on Facebook, nobody stopped liking the podcast as a result of me not being there. Because there's so much fucking shit you can go listen to. But yeah, so that's what's been happening. I love the shit out of Mike. And it's nice to have Dan there. It's nice to have you guys supporting my stuff, because it keeps you like aware that you can come back and start doing stuff again. And that's what I'm looking forward to. This is the first of me coming back. And there's more to come. And I've got some really, really fascinating... I've got some in the can, some interviews in the can already, but I've got some really fascinating ones coming up that I'm super excited about. People who nobody would have ever thought to interview on a podcast. I'm putting money on it that nobody would have ever thought to interview these people. Like, for instance, I went and I bought a stack of records a couple weeks ago. And I'm like, you know what? Because of my experience trying to listen to a comedy album a day, sorry about that, guys. At least nobody's paying through Patreon for that. I just started to hate listening to some comedy, and I'm like, I bought a pile the other day. I was trying to cheer myself up. I don't know, it's $30 worth of records, but it ended up being about 20 records because that's how I roll. And I'm like, you know what? If any of these even gives me like a giggle or a smile or isn't just total shit, I'm going to look up people who are related to the people who made these albums, because the people who made all these albums are long dead for the most part. I'm going to look these people up, and if they're down to do the podcast, you know, let's see if we can make that happen. And there are already 2 of those that are possibly going to happen. 2 people who nobody would have thought about. I just hit the microphone. People who, you know, it's just, they're not in the zeitgeist. They were just they were a small part of comedy at one point. Might have been a big name. Specifically, one of them's a big name in Yiddish theater, and fascinating, interesting story. And I'm going to talk to his grandson. So those kind of things are happening. I want to get a little more, digging a little deeper into the stuff that I wouldn't normally dig into, stop, you know, talking about Class Clown for the millionth time, and dig a little deeper, which is something I've been wanting to do for a while anyway. What the fuck is going on outside? I apologize. Oh, that's a fun fire alarm thing. Not a fire alarm, fire engine. Anyway, so I'm rambling. Don't normally do postscripts on this show, but thanks for sticking around. Presuming you have. There's a lot of episodes like that coming up. You might as well, again, it's worth listening to my other podcasts too. They are fun. Dan and Jay's Comedy Hour is my best friend Dan and I talking about our sketches going back to when we were 13, when I was 13, back to 93. We're 25 years old this year, our comedy group. Dispatches from Fort Awesome is where we talk about the show News Radio. And it's within a year and a half, it's blown up to us interviewing the guy who created News Radio, Paul Sims. And we got some other fun people coming onto the show for that. So I do a lot of stuff, and it's cool to have people stick around and listen. And thank you for listening to my bullshit. And as always, if you have suggestions for stuff to talk about on the podcast, like I've got some people who email me pretty regularly saying, you haven't talked about this, have you? And most of the time, they're right. I haven't. And it's not because I don't like it. It's just because it hasn't come up. But I like to sort of force people's hands sometime. If they don't have something in mind, why not talk about this weird, rare thing? And I'm going to start doing that more often, I think. And I don't know. I'm going to stop rambling now. Thank you guys for very much listening. Holy shit. See, my brain is fried. Thank you guys for very much listening. I knew to country is what I'm trying to say. That's about it. Thank you guys for listening. Have a good thing.